Hello.
No.
So it is our time. 10:30 UK time. Today is, what day is today? 9th of September 2023. For some reason I can hear an echo. That's gone. Okay. All right. And let's do our initial prayer to start today. Master Jesus, here we are again in a beautiful day, beautiful sunny day. That light is like you in our path. Bring us the joy, the clarity, and the will to pursue this beautiful day tomorrow, after tomorrow, and ever. Be with us, Father, in this little effort to improve our knowledge about what we are. Be with us today and always. So be it. So, let me share the book with you all. Let me do something here first. Otherwise, I won't be able to read. Hello.
No.
Hello. So there is something happening here. Let me share the book with you all. Just a minute. Let me do something here first. Otherwise, no, it's not. I think the echo was done wrong. Okay, it happens again. So I don't know what is that. So back to our book, where we are on the topic describing the type of mediums per Kardec. Today we are starting by positive mediums. Positive mediums. Generally, they communication display a clean and precise character, which spontaneously lend itself to circumstantial details and exact teachings. Very rare. If you guys want me to make any comment about any of those type of mediumships here, let me know. But I don't see a particular need to do it. But if you have any questions, any comment, please feel free to do so. All right. Literally mediums, those who do not display the vague tone of poetic mediums, nor the down-to-earth tone of positive mediums, but who write with sagacity. Their style is correct, elegant, frequently, and notable eloquence. Incorrect mediums, those who obtain very good communications and through displaying irreproachable morality, but whose styles is diffuse, incorrect, and full of repetitions and improper terms. The material incorrectness of style usually stems from the medium's lack of education. This type of mediums, consequently, does not serve as a good instrument for the spirit. However, the spirit attaches little importance to this matter, since for it, though it is essential. For it thought it is essential. And it so leaves the medium free to provide the appropriate form. The same does not apply to erroneous and illogical ideas that may be communicated, which are always an indication of the low evolution degree of the manifesting spirit. Historian mediums, those who have a special aptitude for historical dissertations, like our others. This faculty does not depend on the medium's own knowledge, for there are uneducated individuals, even children, who address subjects far beyond their reach, a rare variety of positive mediums. Hi, Mulia.
Hi, Guilherme. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What caught my attention in this comments here by Kardec is to see that animism is animism. If the medium, the free leaves, they leave the medium to give the style the medium wants. So that is something from the medium. I see as an intentional animism in the communication. Since they give importance to the thought, they leave the form in the previous case to the medium. In my view, it is animism. It's something that comes from the medium and not from the spirit. Am I right?
Munir, let me say something to you. When I choose not to make comments on those types of mediumship, it's because I have a different perception, like you just had one, and yeah, I think you're totally right. I think this is a degree of animism, right? And I always refer to practice. And the practice that I had never showed to me scientific mediums, historian mediums, medical mediums. Medium is medium, period. The spirit that will communicate through the medium is something else, right? And mediumship is a learning process. Today, I may speak with broken words. Tomorrow, I'll be speaking something that's very rudimental. After tomorrow, I'll be speaking like I'm doing a lecture. But it's not me. It's not the medium himself. It's the spirit. The medium, yes, need to clean the pathways of the mediumship channels and everything like that. But the content of the medium's work is not or should not be the medium's perception or the medium knowledge or the medium will, but instead, whatever a spirit that is brought that day will bring to us, right? So I am with you. I am with you. I don't want to say that it is wrong, because I cannot say it's wrong, right? It would be very wrong from me to say that is wrong. But my perception is different, and what I saw until today is different, because we have mediums with very little education that gives voice to high elevated spirits as well. So perhaps at that time when this book was written, in the environment the book was written, there was the situation, something that I was not there, so I cannot comment on it. But
yeah,
what I see today is different.
Yeah, but what I see is these descriptions, they are more elements for people to describe certain characteristics of a mediumship than just a full medium. I don't see a full medium here and say, oh, he's a historian medium or he's this. No, he's got elements. I think Kardec wants to show us some specificities of mediumship. But you can say you are a fully historian medium, because if you are a fully mechanical medium, how come you can put your style in that kind of communication if you're not conscious of the communication? So we see that when we combine things, sometimes they don't match very, very much.
Correct.
But he tried to describe all the different aspects of our mediumship.
Yeah, and that was the beauty of the work, after all, isn't it?
Yeah.
But before I let Charles and Christine say what because they have their hands up, I see this topic with concerns. Why I do that? I am a historian medium. I know a lot of history. I know a lot of blah, 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 boosting my medium ego to a level that I think, oh, I'm a totally mechanical medium. I'm a totally historian medium, and that may create some bias in the medium's mind, and that could be negative, right? So, hi, Charles, first. Charles, Charles, your mic is closed.
Right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good evening, Christine.
Hi.
The title of this item, subsection item 193, is classification according to the type and specialty of the communications. Okay, so it's not whether the medium is mechanic or automatic or not. It's just medium receiving more this type of communication, another one receiving more that type of communication. And talking about a historian medium, for instance, we have an example, which is Hermance Dufaux, who has written these books, The History of Jeanne d'Arc, The History of Louis XI, and so on. And she is typically entering in this category, independently whether she is writing automatically or intuitively or semi-consciously or whatever. Okay. And there is a sentence that I think is very fundamental, is the italics just above, where he's writing that the spirits are taking little care, little importance to the form. They insist on the content, and then the form they let it up to us. And this is something which happens also quite frequently. And this is why Kardec, when he received communications from the mediums, we can see on the original sometimes he's just changing some words, changing some things in the form, because of this, the most important is the content, is not the form.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I mean, the ego of the medium, whether it's historian medium or the spirit who is signing the communication or whatever, you are fully right. And Kardec is here just making this classification according to the type of communication this or that medium is usually receiving.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. But I would not call historical mediums scientific mediums. I would call historian communications scientific communications, because the medium could get all of them eventually, right? And when you, I don't know if it's written like that in the original book either, but when you have historian mediums, I'm classifying the medium, and I think that's a risk. Nowadays, Charles, what is the top notch? I'm a medium of cure. I'm a medium. People feel like they are better than the others because I have that kind of mediumship. And
yeah, but Guillaume, this starts already when you say I'm medium.
That's very true. Yeah,
it starts already with the first word. So
that's very true. That's very true. So we need to be humble, isn't it? We
exactly.
need to be fit in the ground all the time. So now it's you, Christine. How are you doing?
Hi. I was just going to say some of what Charles has said is sort of what I was going to say, but in a different way. But also I have to keep on reminding myself that this book was written quite some time ago. So as is pointed out, that just in terms of communication, that's how it's been written.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm agreeing with, what Charles has just said.
Yeah, cool.
And you and yourself.
So now we go to scientific mediums. We do not say scientists because these may be very uneducated. Despite this, however, they are especially able to receive communications related to sciences. Medical mediums. Their specialty is therefore most easily serving spirits as interpreters for mediums' medical prescriptions. They must not be confused with healing mediums, because they do nothing more than transmit the spirit's thought and do not exert any influence in and of themselves. Quite common. We need to be careful with this here. Medical prescriptions. Are we allowed to do that? Unless if we are medical, if we are doctors?
In France, not.
Nowhere.
Mm.
Nowhere. I guess nowhere, right? But we have prescriptions of homeopathic solutions, herbal solutions, things like that. That was more common, right? Even like that, medium used to have trouble with that, right?
And not only medium, there is Rika Zarai, a known singer, who has been condemned in France because of this, because she was prescribing herbal stuff and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you need to be very careful. Someone want to say anything? I think I interrupt someone. No, I guess not. And hi, Christine.
I do. It's interesting that medical mediums appears in the text, because normally you would see a healing medium. I've never heard of it called a medical medium, only a healing medium.
In Portuguese, we have a term, medium receitista. Is a medium that do the prescriptions.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I think he's on the same lines. He's a medium who will receive like a formula, 10 degrees of something, 1 degree of alcohol, blah, blah, creates type of a formula that you can go to a homeopathic pharmacist, or you can do it yourself sometimes, or you can buy in an herbal store mix, you know, they used to do things like that.
Okay.
But there is one thing that's different and came to my mind. 15 years ago, we were told to start a different type of work that was involving healing mediums in a more formatted way. And the benefactors, they came to us in a meeting and they said, you have to open this type of work, this type of support for the community, but you need at least 2 doctors in the group. And at the time, where I'm going to find a doctor that is a spiritist? I didn't know where I could find it. And they gave the name. And I thought, when I speak to this person, he will think I'm crazy and will never entertain that kind of thing. But I was wrong. And a couple of weeks later, we started this activity. In that situation, this medium could prescribe even allopathic drugs if you had to, but they were doctors, professional doctors, right? If the medium is not a doctor, I will not give any sort of incentive to the medium to do prescriptions, or I will not, how can I say that? I will not give incentive. That I think is the best sentence, to the medium to go on that avenue, because there are risks and we should be very careful about that. Religious mediums, those who more especially receive communications of a religious character or address questions related to religion, notwithstanding their own beliefs and practice. Philosophical moralist mediums, those whose communications generally address moral issues or profound philosophy, very common for moral issues. All these nuances comprise a diversity of aptitudes of good mediums. As for those who have special aptitudes in certain scientific, historical, medical, and other communications above the current reach, we can be certain that they possessed such a knowledge in another existence and have retained it in a latent state, thereby making up part of the cerebral elements needed for the spirit's communication. These elements are what make it easy for the spirits to transmit its own ideas, since these mediums are for the spirit instruments who are more intelligent and malleable than an ignorant one would be. Erastus. In Erastus' comment, one thing that's interesting here is that knowledge in another existence. This is not mandatory, but if we do have an easy way to do a type of communications, could be that we have in our perispiritic archives what we're talking about. We may have in our hard drive part of the experience that has been identified by the spirits as, well, he knows what I'm talking about here. Will be easier to pass through this medium that type of information because he already had in previous lives that kind of information, or at least a rudimental part of the information, right? So this is something that happens. Doesn't mean that when we receive a very suffering spirits talking about, I killed many people, you were a murderer. It's not that, right? This is just one of the variables in the equation. Hi, Christine.
Hi, just to clarify, the cerebral elements, are they the ones that we were talking about above, the historical, the positive, the moral? Is that what they're talking about when they're talking about cerebral elements?
Let me split a little bit more what you just said, right? The cerebral is physical, right? It does have an impact, because if you have studied engineering, for example, you will see better some kind of mechanisms than someone that never had in this current life. But what he's talking about, remember that this incarnation, you are an engineer, but you start to receive information about medical details, medical communications, medical, how can I say that? Prescriptions, if you will. Perhaps in your perispirit brain, you have filed somewhere your past experiences as a doctor. So they are able to access this past experience from your perispirit brain, and then they use that information that you yourself don't even know that you have, but is there, is in a hard drive hidden somewhere, but they can get through it and get access to that information, right? Mediumship is a package. Mediumship is organic, but mediumship is a massive equation. And one of the factors of the equation is your brain today and your brain from the past, your brain from your perispirit. I'm using those words to be easier to understand, right? So it's never only one thing. There are several factors that will contribute to you call yourself a medium and be able to give what people call channeling through spirits, right? Or giving message from the spirit. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Mediums for trivial and obscene communications. These words indicate the kind of communication that certain mediums habitually receive and the nature of the spirits who transmit them. Whoever has studied the spirit world in all its degrees knows that there are spirits whose perversity is on par with what of the most depraved individuals, and who are pleased to express their thoughts through the grossest words. Others who are less abject, content themselves with trivial expressions. It is understandable that these mediums should desire free themselves from being preferred by such spirits, and aspire to be like those who receive communications that never display an unseemly word. Only through a strange mental aberration and lack of good sense could one believe that such a language could come from good spirits. There are a couple of things here. Everyone wants to receive messages and communicate messages from very elevated spirits. This is human, right? Who you would prefer to get a communication from? From a queen, from a king, or from someone that's incarcerated somewhere? Wow, you feel proud of yourself if you get a message from the king. But you could feel ashamed if you had a message from someone that's incarcerated. That's one thing that we need to be careful of. We should not be ashamed of receiving messages from suffering spirits, and we should not be proud of receiving messages from well-known characters in the history. We should not go for that, right? And there's one thing here that says certain mediums actually receive the nature of the spirits. Yes, we see that very often in a mediumship meeting. It does not say that this medium is better. Let's say I have two mediums. One medium that only receives messages from kings and queens, and one medium that only receives messages from people incarcerated. As I've started with incarceration, I will continue with incarceration. It does not mean that this medium that getting messages only for people that are incarcerated, they were incarcerated before either. Likewise, it does not mean that the medium that is receiving message from kings and queens, he is the top notch either. Not at all. But when I'm starting to see mediums only receiving that type of spirits, it gets my attention. Could be for many reasons, but it gets my attention, right? So a medium will receive, in general, receive the guy incarcerated, the guy that is wearing a crown, the guy that's average. Next time you get a woman, a man, whatever. A medium should understand that he's there as a channel. That's it. Doesn't matter which spirit will come from. And we should be attentive enough not to allow our ego, our pride, what we would like to play in this activity. Because, of course, if I want to be well known in the spiritist environment as someone getting messages from kings and queens, I may end up doing something that's not very correct, and that we will study in the future. All right. According to the medium physical qualities, so the item 194, according to the medium physical qualities, calm mediums, those who always write in a rather slow pace without the least agitation. Fast mediums, those who write with a speed that they could not voluntarily produce in their normal state. Spirits communicate with them at the speed of lightning. One could say that they possess a superabundance of fluids, which enables them to instantly identify with the spirit. Because of the speed, however, his quality has the inconvenience of rendering the writing almost illegible to all except the medium, him or herself. It is also very tiring because it is uselessly waste of a great deal of fluid. Convulsive mediums, those who remain in an overexcited, almost feverish state. Their hands, sometimes their entire body, trembles in such a way that they cannot control it. The cause is undoubtedly in their own physical composition, but much also depends on the nature of the spirits who communicate through them. Good and benevolent spirits produce an agreeable and gentle impression, evil ones, on the other hand, a painful impression. These mediums should rarely use their faculty, because frequently use can adversely affect the nervous system. So we just identified that there's another thing that plays in our mediumship, is our physical characteristics, right? I met mediums that they had a better constitution, physical constitution, for certain types of spirits. Nevertheless, they received all kinds of spirits: elevated spirits, suffering spirits, agitated spirits, calm spirits. But we were able to identify this person as someone that could cope better with a type of spirit. 195, according to the medium's moral qualities. We only mention this medium in passing at this point in order to complete the table, since we shall address them in the following special chapters: moral influence of the medium's obsession, the identity of spirits, and others for which we ask particular attention. We will observe the influence that the qualities and the shortcomings of a medium can exert on the reliability of the communications, and which mediums can rightly consider themselves to be imperfect or good mediums. Let me speak a little bit about that. When we are mediums, sometimes we don't even know we are. Sometimes we do not know how we should use our mediumship, what is for, what is right, what is not right. But spiritists who have been acquainted to Kardec's knowledge, teachings, they cannot say they do not know what is right, what is not right. Is there on the Spirit's book, on the Gospel, on the Medium's book, all information we need to be on the right path, we have there. If we never had the opportunity to read any Kardec's book, and I had the opportunity to read the Gospel, all information is there. What is right, what is not right. Unfortunately, from time to time, we all choose to do things that we are not proud of. We all do. It's human. That's why we are here. We're still in the level of evolution that we are not perfect yet. So eventually, we will do again something that we are not proud of, because we know is wrong. We may decide not to see, but deep inside we know is not right. Okay? So the exercises minimize the best we can the frequency of doing wrong things. And as we do this exercise, minimizing how much wrong things I'm doing, I'm getting better. Normally, when we start to do something that are wrong, we don't even realize is wrong. The next step is we do wrong anyway, but we realize it's wrong. The next step is, before I do it wrong, I think about it, but I do anyway. And the utmost degree is before I do something wrong, I will think about it. I will realize that I should not do it, and I will not do it. We all, human beings, should be aiming to go to this last degree, at least to realize that what we will do is wrong and not do it. But that's very hard. Let's be honest. So at least let's be between a degree before and this last degree, and doing a massive effort not to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And when we're talking about medium's moral qualities, is because we already discussed here to length that our spiritual environment, the spirits that we gain friendship, they are around us, depending on what we are. If my moral is low, we know what kind of spirits will be around us. If my moral is a bit higher, we also know what kind of spirits will be around us. So to a certain degree, it's really recommended that every medium do its utmost endeavor to be in the last degree, because that will give you protection, that will give you strength, that will give you the tranquility to know that despite that you may face some tribulations in your way, sometimes you may suffer a little bit here or there, but you know that those spirits, or the great majority of spirits that will be around you, will be spirits that are good spirits, and they will be there to help you, right? Just a little bit of comments about this topic. But as it says here, in the future, we'll have more about moral influence and obsession. Imperfect mediums. 196. Obsessed mediums. Those who cannot free themselves of importunate and deceptive spirits, but who are nonetheless not fooled by them. This type of situation, at least the medium is capable to perceive that is something wrong with me. Something is not well, because he can perceive. And if I hear something that does not make sense, I will stop. I will not do it. So this is already something. Hi, Denise.
Manny, yeah, this kind of mediums obsessed, if he's aware that he's not being fooled, if he looks for help, like start praying like that, would those kind of spirits go away?
Aha. Pray is not enough. Pray is not enough. Pray does help. Very important, but it's not enough. In an obsession process, and in this case, I will call as a medium process. We need to find what is the origin of this process. Let me give you some examples here. I love to go to some areas and drug myself once a day. If I'm a medium, I can guarantee you that I'm attracting what I don't know, or at least what I should not attract. You can pray, of course, but if you don't stop what is triggering the situation, it will keep happening. It will keep happening.
Okay, I got it. Yeah,
you know?
So if it's from someone obsessed from past lives, he has to go and treat it so the obsession can go away. Okay.
Obsessions from past life, quite often, is something that you need to fix.
Yeah.
You were deeply involved in something, and the only way that this will start to change is you starting to change your behavior today. You need to show proof that you have changed. You're not perpetrating the same action as you did before with this spirit, for example. There's a complex topic. We need more time to talk about it. But yeah, I would say that for the time being.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Deluded mediums, those who are fooled by deceptive spirits and delude themselves about the nature of the communications they receive. It happens. It happens. And a good example on those cases is that when we approach the person trying to say, well, we need to observe, there's something that, no, it's not possible. I'm not doing anything wrong. Well, to start with, we're not talking about the medium. We're talking about the spirit, right? But the person is trying to not to consider the possibility that there is something wrong. And any medium with decades of experience could fall into this situation. Just speaking like from the heart here, I am a medium and I gave message from John F. Kennedy. And I'm so proud that I gave message from John F. Kennedy. And people on the Spiritism start to spread the word that I am the medium from Kennedy. And anyone that comes to me to say, well, doesn't seem to be Kennedy, it's a different type of sentence, it's a different type of conversation, I will not accept at all. So it could happen to anyone, all right? It's more common than we think. And sometimes a lot of mediums, they fall because of this situation. Subjugated mediums, those who are morally and often physically dominated by evil spirits. Well, it's sad to see that situation, but it happens. The medium lose the ability to control themselves. Is that common? No, it's not common. Is that rare? It's not rare either. But it's not like the medium is always like that. No, you may have an event, you may have a period that you'll be like that, right? Frivolous mediums, those who do not take their faculty seriously, but use it only as entertainment or for useless purpose. I prefer to believe that we will not find that under Spiritism. But here we're talking about mediums. So that's possible that we may find someone like that in our lifetime. Indifferent mediums, these take no moral advantage of the instructions they receive, nor do they change anything about their conduct and habits. Presumptuous mediums, those who claim they are in touch only with highly evolved spirits. They deem themselves infallible and regard that whatever does not come through themselves is inferior and erroneous. Yeah. The ego play a lot on that. We need to be very careful with our ego all the time. proud mediums, those who flatter themselves because of the communication they receive. They think they have nothing more to learn about Spiritism, and they do not take to heart the lessons they frequently receive from spirits. They are not content with the faculties they currently possess. They want all of them. In the same line, right? Susceptible mediums, a variety of proud mediums who take offense at the criticism leveled at their communication. They are hurt by the least remarking against them. When they display what they have received, it means to elicit admiration rather than an opinion. They usually have an aversion for persons who do not lavish praise upon them and avoid meetings in which they cannot impose themselves and dominate. Erastus comments, let them trust about elsewhere and seek a more complacent audience, or let them keep entirely to themselves. Meetings without their presence lose nothing. Yeah, we may see that from time to time. But one thing I would like to mention here is that I would say that this degree described here is a bit elevated, but from time to time we see mediums that they are so proud of themselves that they are not prepared to listen to any comment that may come in their way to help themselves to grow. How many times I saw over the years mediums that simply decided, I'll not come back here anymore. That's it. Because the group or the orientator or the doctrinator start to approach him or her saying, well, you need to be attentive. I think you may be starting a process where you should be more attentive with yourself, in your family, in your home. What are you telling me? Are you telling me that I'm an obsessed person? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you need to be a bit more attentive. And in time, we may come back to you and say, yes, I think there is some possibility you are under this process. I may come back saying there is nothing. And that's just enough for the person to pack their bags and move away. And what is going to happen to this person if he or she really is under influences of negative spirits? That influence will grow. Doesn't matter if the person decides not to go to a different place or if the person decides to move to a different place, because it's not the place the person is, it's the person itself. And when things like that are happening, it's because we have to fix something that we are doing. That there is something we should look internally to see, well, I need to change that. There's something that I could be doing a little bit better. In general, that is happening more often. The situation is happening more often than we think. Hi, Liz.
I just wanted to highlight throughout our study today, it has been more and more in my head. We've seen all these types of mediums that, in my view, Kardec puts as for educational purposes and for us also to think about our positions, our behavior, and how important, thinking about that, how important it is for us to constantly meditate on our attitudes, knowing ourselves, isn't it? knowing ourselves, really honestly trying to look at ourselves. And with a humbleness, try to see everything that we do, all the mistakes we do, because we do a lot of mistakes. If we haven't been doing mistakes, we wouldn't be incarnated here. We are just incarnated here because we do need to correct lots of things still. So just the importance of us to continuously do this exercise of meditating about our own behavior and who we really are.
Liz, this is a constant exercise to everyone. To everyone, it's a constant exercise. When we think we are getting a bit better, we may sleep a little bit. So we need to do this exercise continuously. It's part of what human beings are. If now we speak about mediums, we need to be even more attentive, because we know we are playing with the spiritual world. We know that we are under scrutiny from those spirits that do not want us to grow. Also scrutiny from those spiritual friends that want us to grow. So we need to be happy with ourselves. If you are happy with what you are doing, great. That means you are happy with the type of spirits that are around you. And who am I to judge you or what you want for yourself? I cannot. I can make a comment like, I think you're not surrounded by good friends. You could be surrounded by better friends. Like a mom. What the mom wants to the kids. The mom wants to the kids that they are with good friends, that they can go out, they can go back safely, that they have good relationships, good friendships. It's the same sentiment, it's the same feeling. Mediums for hire. Well, I think we spoke a lot about that, and we'll be speaking and speaking and speaking again. And do not kid yourselves. If you do, eventually you will regret, right? Mediumship should not have any proximity of material or financial interest. If we do, eventually we'll find out. Ambitious mediums, those who, even though they do not actually sell their abilities, nonetheless hope to get something from them. Sometimes I have some thoughts about the amount of people who are like to be on the spotlight. And could that be one of the things we're talking about here? Maybe. Maybe. If you are just doing your work, that's very fine. That's very fine. But if you, through your work, there's a little bit of too much pride, you want always to be on the news, for example, or something like that, be careful. Be careful, because this is one of the ways we may fall. Bad faith mediums, those who, despite having real abilities, pretend to have others in order to appear more important. However, we cannot label as mediums those persons who, having no mediumistic faculty whatsoever, only produce false phenomena through charlatanism. Selfish mediums, those who only employ their abilities for their own use and keep the communications they receive themselves. Jealous mediums. Ooh, we have many of them. those who regard with despite those mediums who are more appreciated and more highly developed. All these bad qualities necessarily have their counterpart in good mediums. We see more often than we think in a mediums group, one medium being jealous of another. And quite often, the jealous medium is the one that's not working very hard. I would like to be like this person, but I don't want to work hard as this person works, because it's far too much work. I just want to get the glory from the other person, but I don't want to work harder to achieve what the other people or the group is achieving, right? Quality in the mediumship, in my opinion, is related to your disponibility and the amount of work you do. If you work once a year, don't expect to have the same kind of relationship someone that works once a week will have, because it's a simple math. You need to get acquainted with the work. You need to practice the work, and you need to be serious about it. Good mediums. What time is that? I'll stop here. Next week we'll start in good mediums. Let me just save it here. I don't know how to save because Acrobat has updated my software and I'm lost. But anyway, stop sharing. Let me do something here. Leta, do you mind make us a final prayer?
Hi. Dear Lord Almighty, thank you very much for the beautiful service that we had today. We all learned quite a lot. Thank you. Thank you for all your help and give us more intuitions to become good mediums. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Leta. Thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to see you guys again in a week's time. I wish you a beautiful sunny weekend.
Thank you.